to cover and share the story of SpaceX and what's unfolding right before our eyes. Obviously, Falcon 9 is the workhorse rocket of the industry right now. SpaceX has, like you were saying, done things that have never been done before, and they continue to do that with Starship. And so if you're not familiar, you might want to go down to Starbase at some point. It's a wonderful adventure, and it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but for anyone who's been to Starbase, I'm sure you can agree it's worth the trip. And
so Pulse, who's been to Starbase?
Yeah.
I mean, so who's a fan of Star Wars, Star Trek, any of that? Okay. Like, imagine walking into a movie. That is what Starbase is. You have a rocket that is the size of the Statue of Liberty on the beach.
It's like Disneyland for space nerds.
But it's also in one of the most like the Rio Grande splitting the U.S. and Mexico is right there, like literally the border where you see a lot of just, you know, people can cross it. Like you can literally almost feel like they walk across it. It's just, it's insane.
There is a border checkpoint, but
it's crazy.
When people ask me, they're like, "Oh, you live in Austin now, so you know you must be so close." It's like, no, it's 6-hour drive down in my Tesla, and you're really basically in Mexico on the border. But man, are they developing, you know, Starbase every single day. Every time I go down there, I've been down there 10 times, and it changes because SpaceX is moving quick. They're rapidly iterating. They have a mission, and the clock is ticking. And I'd love to play some video if there's any way to
exactly
cue it.
What I was gonna do.
Because I wanted to ask you guys, who here has actually seen a rocket launch in real life? Raise your hand. Okay, that's wonderful. More people than I expected, but hopefully we can cue the video. It's too bad that Felix couldn't be here, but this video that we're seeing is Felix and I happened to watch the SLS Artemis launch from Florida, a very bright and loud launch, and hopefully, I don't know if there's any way to turn up some of the sound just a little bit. You can see it's, you know, trigger some emotions.
Are we allowed to get the audio? There isn't any audio, okay.
Okay, there is, it's just very low. So Felix is interesting. Felix moved his entire family from Germany to cover what SpaceX is doing full time. I quit my job in TV news, and I think that's just a testament to how much we believe in the mission. And, oh, so you can hear the rocket. I'll be quiet. I mean, look at this. It is almost spiritual to watch a rocket launch. The first time I watched one, I teared up, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? Kind of similar thing happens if you see an eclipse. And, you know, if I were to recommend anyone to watch a rocket launch, seeing a Starship launch is obviously in its infancy still.
So I've had my 2 daughters watch it, like, and you're talking a 5-year-old, 8-year-old, and you can't get someone more excited about something in the future of humanity than taking them to a Starship launch.
It is something you need to do at least once in your lifetime.
Oh my God, it's like blinding, you guys.
It is blinding.
Well, that's
and there's only been 4.
There's only been 4.
Only 4. So it's just,
You
it's
can
crazy.
turn it down a little bit.
Artemis Falcon.
Sorry. But that's the thing, I've actually been scolded. The first few Starship launches I've live streamed, and I'm screaming into the mic because you can't help yourself. It's a human reaction. You're just in disbelief seeing what's in front of you. And so, as you can see me there crying a little bit. Anyway, Starship is amazing. Starship, you know, Falcon 9 has changed, and SpaceX has radically changed the space industry. And trust me, it needed some change. But what Starship is going to do is, game changer is cliche, but it's true. The world's first fully reusable rocket. Never been done before. You can imagine how much that's going to lower the cost, you know, increase access to space, and with the eventual goal of going to Mars. And some people, you know, I've been covering this for a few years now, they say we need to focus on our problems here on Earth. I think it's good to have a backup plan, but SpaceX is already benefiting us here on Earth. How many of you have Starlink?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Starlink, I mean, that has also provided some people with internet for the first time in their lives. It's not just, access to, entertainment like YouTube or something. It's education, it's healthcare.
And the X Takeover is brought to you live by Starlink.
Woo!
We're in the middle of a field. You can't bring cables out here. And, we had Franz on yesterday with Starlink. So it's bringing, the gap of knowledge is being removed because of Starlink single-handedly.
When I actually started my channel covering Starlink. So Starlink I covered first when it was in the Better Than Nothing beta days. I don't know if any of you guys remember those days so it was just being rolled out. It wasn't quite as good as it was today because they were still, deploying satellites and building the constellation. But I went to Washington State. There's a Ho American Indian tribe, and they were just blown away. I mean, they had never had internet, they never had an email, and during the pandemic, a lot of school districts, people needed connectivity since everything was so virtual, and Starlink has obviously been rolled out so much more now, but it is just, now we have, the Mini and
so the Starlink Mini can fit in your backpack. Yeah. So now I'm going to be able to go and take one of my kids and go to the Starship launch and have access, because the worst thing, you get on South Padre Island and you start seeing these rockets go up, there's no reception. And as you know, if you're making content, the posting it as soon as possible is everything.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about how you cover it, but also I want to find out more from you. You've been covering SpaceX for years now. How did you land the Elon Musk interview? So tell us a little bit, how do you approach Starship launch coverage?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about where are you even, because I'll be at, Isla Blanca Park,
yeah,
which is technically 5 miles. It's right on the water. I'm sitting at the very edge, and you are literally seeing these rockets go up, but you're on South Padre Island. So tell us about what is your approach even versus like being on the Space Coast, watching things from Cape Canaveral. Like, how do you approach these launches?
Well, like you mentioned, connectivity there is rough. But I've streamed from the roof of Margaritaville all 4 launches. Kind of strange how I even ended up on there. A lot of serendipity happening. But the first launch scrubbed. And I was trying to stream from Isla Blanca Park, even using Starlink, it wasn't working that well. And I got invited, just a random email from someone from NASA using those MX-25 high-powered cameras. And he had seen me doing a live stream just on an off-launch day with Joe Tegmeyer, zoomed in on us. I don't believe his story, but anyway, he messaged and he's like, hey, I have a better viewing spot, and the Musk family might be in town on Thursday, so you might want to come check it out. And I'm like, okay, I'm game, and I was still in crutches at the time. I just broken my femur a month before, and So anyway, checked it out. Really great viewing spot, and yeah, Elon's mom, brother, sister happened to be up there on the first Starship launch. It was incredible to interview them. I was actually surprised how much time they gave me. So, I wasn't sure how my coverage was going to turn out because I was barely out of the hospital, but some strange things happened, and then Elon followed me, and
congrats on that, by the way.
Thank you.
That's especially being in the SpaceX world and covering it, sacrificing all that you do to get followed by the guy that's essentially running us becoming multiplanetary, following you. That's insane.
I think it felt really good to know that, he supports my work, because obviously I support everything that he's doing. And here you can see.
That's Joe Tegmeyer.
This is Joe Tegmeyer. He's incredible. We should have him next year, actually. But this was during the second launch. And I've been streaming from the roof. Unfortunately, they don't let guests up there anymore, except for me, because I'm kind of grandfathered into it.
You're grandfathered in, literally. Again, there's 3 or 4 really amazing spots to cover, and you've landed one.
A lot of people, they'll get a hotel room that's facing the launch pad, and they're able to see it. But the beach really is one of, if not the best place. You have the community. You have, this shared human experience. I just need the service. But so, I've made 10 trips down to Starbase, and this last launch, I just messaged Elon, and I was like, hey, I'd love to interview you down at Starbase. And
Hold on, so you just DM'd him?
I just sent him a message.
And then did he respond, or was it someone from his team?
He did respond. The first was, we hadn't gotten the launch license yet, so he's like, I gotta see how it goes. And then he said basically, if the launch goes well, yes. And what an honor to talk to him on one of not only the busiest, but one of the most successful days SpaceX has had to date. And so it was really, really amazing. And you were there, so.
Yeah, behind the scenes.
You coached me, because you're a veteran.
No, I mean, glad to spread the knowledge. I mean, that's the insane thing about Elon is that, I got my first Tesla back in July of 2018, and he's one of the most reachable and loyal people. And so for you, like, he knows, he's seen your stuff before, he's even interacted with it, even before he started following you, obviously. But he's one of, like, that's the insane thing about the Twitter, and that's what has made that platform what it is, in that you can reach the most unreachable people.
Yeah.
And so, congrats on that interview. I know it's just been, again, that's kind of, to be able to do those things, especially in the SpaceX world, that's huge.
Yeah, I will say X, the only problem with X is that it's very addicting. I spend way too much time on it, but it really is. I mean, having a TV news background, TV news just can't keep up. Breaking news on X, everything is happening so quick, and I think it's a really addicting platform.
Tell us a little bit about, why, like, what is so important about what SpaceX is doing? Why should people care? I mean, again, you have a lot of people in the Tesla